Hey there, I am Marina Orms here with your Astro Vibe for Sunday, March 19th. We are looking at a very big week in astrological terms, which of course is also about life and our experience of it. So we've got multiple shifts of energy, changes happening, and it begins with the spring equinox, which is the day, of course, when day and night are equal. That's why it's equinox. And it's whether you live in the northern or the southern hemisphere, it's a time of equal day and night, and it is the beginning of spring, of course, in the northern hemisphere. So we have the spring equinox followed immediately by the new moon in Aries. And so the equinox, of course, is also the definition of the beginning of Aries. That is how the tropical zodiac is defined. It is the signs are aligned with the equinoxes and solstices. And so the spring equinox is the beginning of the sign of Aries, and the new moon this month, it happens to be in Aries, of course, but it also happens to be immediately after the moon goes into Aries, which interestingly enough means that this month or this year we're going to actually have two new moons in Aries. The second one will be in a month after we complete this current Aries moon cycle, and the next moon cycle will also be Aries, but it will begin at the very end of Aries, and that's going to be also a solar eclipse. So lots of Aries energy, lots of Aries themes. Okay, so this week also we have the equinox, we have the sun going into Aries, we have the new moon in Aries beginning a new moon cycle, and then we've also got the Pluto, the shift of Pluto into Aquarius, big picture transition of outer planet Pluto, which moves very, very slowly. And so as Pluto shifts into Aquarius, we have a shift in background energies. We are looking at big historical time periods. And so we've had the energy of Pluto in Capricorn since 2008. I've actually shared with you multiple videos on that topic. So check out some of my videos on Pluto in Aquarius, Pluto in Capricorn, and what it is that's changing. So we have that energy of Pluto going from the place where we're working hard on things. We are dealing with confrontations with our challenges, our limitations, kind of culminated in a global pandemic, breakdown of democracy, all kinds of things happening with Pluto going through Capricorn, kind of dredging up the things that are lying in the shadow that we need to look at, especially related to our systems, our structures, our institutions, and the foundations on which we operate. So that's happening this week. We've been talking about it for a long time, and Pluto will be shifting into Aquarius. It's going to stay in Aquarius until it retrogrades back into Capricorn in June, and then it will go back direct back into Aquarius in January of 2024, where it will stay for the next 19 to 20 years. So we've got that big shift happening. We also, as if that were not enough, also this week, later in the week on Saturday, Mars is going into Cancer, where Mars, which is an inner planet, it moves more quickly, but it's been hanging out in the sign of Gemini for a very extended period of time for Mars. 7 months is a long time for Mars to be in a sign. Normally it's an average about 2 months in a sign. But because of its retrograde phase, it went direct in Gemini, retrograde in Gemini, and direct in Gemini again, meaning that during its retrograde period, it happened to be in Gemini the entire time. So we had an extended experience of Mars in Gemini, which is the energy of the warrior, of courage, of how we take action, of how we move in the world, and finding our ability to stand up for what we care about and think about in the area of Gemini, which is information. Gemini is about how we ask questions, seek information, solve problems, communicate. And so there's been a sense of proactive need to learn, to communicate, to stand up for the words that you need to say, and to share your voice. So that is shifting now after 7 months of us getting to work through issues around communication, the voice, how we need to share and speak up, and how we are processing information and seeking new information. And then, so as Mars shifts into Cancer, we take that warrior energy and we put it more into themes of caring, of feelings. There can be more of a kind of emotional or irrational sense of reactivity, of action, and proactive behaviors and courage that come from more from a place of emotion, less from a rational place, which is what we've had with Mars in Gemini, with this rational thought, explanations, words, a lot of verbal ways of processing things. And so with Mars in Cancer, we're going to have more of an emotional way of needing to find our courage, needing to take action, be proactive toward feelings, emotions, but also ways of caring, ways of being present for one another, ways of being compassionate, ways of holding space for a healing process. And so Mars in Cancer is some of that mama bear energy, protector, defender of the more vulnerable and the more vulnerable parts of ourselves. And so we're going to need to say, you know, I have a right to my feelings and things like that. So that's Mars shifting into Cancer. So as you can see, we have quite a week of shift and transition. So let's look a little deeper at what that means in terms of your life, your process, your manifestations, your projects, what it is you want to bring into your life, to embody more of, to heal, to fulfill. Dreams you may have, visions you may have of the future. And we've been talking here since the beginning of the year, and really all the time, about how to work with the moon cycle and set intentions. So when you set your intentions on the new moon, and then the moon cycle brings these natural waves of change that support us in our healing process, in our transformation process, in our ability to access the change that we want to adopt and step into. And so creative process as well, right? And so we can work with the moon cycle, but what's wonderful about the Aries moon, the Aries new moon, and the Aries moon cycle is that it is a new beginning that is a kind of emergence. So it is a rebirth of sorts, and a stepping into new truths, new reality, new ways of being, giving birth to yourself in the next phase of existence. So what are you becoming? What do you want to be? What are you stepping into, embodying, embracing, fulfilling? All of that is potentized by this new moon. So as we plant seeds, we also feel that energy of drive, of will, that is the Aries energy. So think of the energy of a seed sprouting and emerging into the world in the springtime. The audacity that it takes for a seed to spring forth with leaves into the world in its truth, in its vulnerability, in its expression of confidence that it is here to become something. And so you can step into and embody that as well, and setting your intentions for aligning with what it is you're becoming, and finding your courage and being willing to take action on not what you've done in the past, but what you're becoming as you go forward into the future. So what are the actions? What are the ways of being? What is your courage asking you to step into as we begin this Aries moon cycle? So this, of course, is a month, and we get 2 months in with the Aries moon cycle energy. In this particular case, it's not often that we have 2 new moons in a row in the same sign, but it does happen periodically. So we get the benefit of that this time around. So we're planting these Aries seeds, this Aries action. By next moon cycle, it's going to be old hat. We're going to have it. We're going to be like wise elders in terms of finding our courage and stepping into greater spontaneity and willingness to live according to our truths. But there, of course, will be more to learn than, as there is always. But anyway, right now, this is more of the baby phase. It's more of the trial and error phase, stepping into what it is you are becoming and being willing to make mistakes, taking risks, saying, it doesn't matter if I don't have it all figured out, if I don't know how it's going to go, because there's no other way to find out than to try it. So this is the energy of trying it and putting yourself into new ways of being. Boldly, courageously, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to do it as the fool, although the energy of the fool, and if you think of the archetype of the fool, like in the tarot deck and so on, we have the energy of the willingness to just go forward without worrying about the world or what other people think or whatever. But also a fool sometimes can mean that you're doing something without the backing of truth or knowledge or experience. And it doesn't have to be that way. You can bring your truth, your knowledge, your experience to what you are taking action on. It is, in fact, based on everything you have learned up until this point, all the things you've been through, the things you've learned about yourself, the things you've discovered. All of that gets to come to the table in you stepping into this new phase. And it's also about stepping into something new. So it's about stepping into who you are becoming without being held back by the limitations of the past, or the restricted thinking of the past, or those rigid limitations that don't have room to flex and bend. So we were talking earlier this week about having your limitations reminding you that they're flexible and fluid, and that limitations can move and adapt and grow with you. And so that's what's happening, is that you don't have to be held back by the limitations of the past, because you are discovering what it is you are here to become in the present that carries you toward that future. It's like the little sprout, imagining itself being fully grown, mature bush or tree or flower or plant that bears fruit. So whatever it is that you are becoming, you're in that phase where you can imagine it, and you're claiming it in this moment, stepping into it in that rebirth. So that is all relating to this new moon. And this new moon in Aries on Tuesday is actually Again, it's potentized by everything else that's going on, the earliness of it being in the first degree of Aries and right next to that spring equinox, the energy of Pluto being in the final minutes, the final days of its journey through Capricorn, which it will return to. But for now, we're moving into Aquarius, and we're going to move into Pluto in Aquarius on a Thursday. And let's see if I have that right. Oh, let's see. Yeah, I think it's Thursday. So anyway, the energy of Pluto going into Aquarius is bringing a shift in the collective. It is bringing a shift in where we are in the cycles of time and the history that we are making in this moment. So the things that we were doing 10, 20 years ago, that when we were in the middle of them, felt really, big and important, and now we're looking back at them because now it is history. Now it's something that has gone by, and we did that. And so now we are in the process of making the new history, which is Pluto going into Aquarius, taking us into a place of really breaking free of old molds, getting outside of the box on so many levels. So moving outside of old ways of thinking, shifting our perspective, stepping into freedom, stepping into breakthroughs. Now, a lot of the themes of course, it's, if something's happening for 19, 20 years, you're not talking about it dominating everything all the time. It's going to be there as a background theme. And so we're going to see themes coming up in the collective of social justice, equality, freedom. What does it mean for us? And we'll be grappling with this as society. What does it mean for us as human beings to be free, to be equal, to restore a sense of justice and belonging and equality in the world? We're going to be grappling with those questions. I'm not saying all the answers will appear, because these are complex issues, but we will be grappling with those. We will have opportunities as individuals to grapple with, what is my place in this? How do I contribute to this? What do I do to be a participant in this bigger healing process? We're also going to be grappling with issues of the problems of the world, pandemics, climate change, you name it, democracy, women's rights, all of these things are things that we're going to be grappling with. And there's going to be an opportunity for new perspectives, new solutions, innovations, new ways of doing things, new ways of thinking about things. And at the same time, we're going to have a more detached perspective. So the ability that a surgeon has to detach themselves from the patient that they're working on, right? It's like there's a kind of a necessary detachment that happens when you have a job to do, when you have a task to complete, and maybe, your heart is in it for the big picture and what you're working on, but there's a detachment that is needed to maintain a sense of objectivity that is going to allow you to do what you need to do. So that energy is going to be present. There's a kind of a detachment, an objectivity, an ability to stand back and look at things and see what's really going on, hopefully. We will also have more energy of technology and technology, higher levels of communication, global nervous system that is the internet and social media, figuring out and thinking about some of the issues that technology brings into our lives, some of the ethical questions, some of the practical questions. How does it operate? How can we use it? What kind of guide rails does it need? How do we do that as a society? How does it fit in the bigger picture of the problem of climate change? And how do we make technologies that can support and sustain life, not to mention human life on the planet? And so some of these bigger picture questions that have really been opened up through the passage of Pluto through Capricorn, that has really pushed us to, dig deep, not just dig deep, but be kind of forced to look deep at the root of some of the issues, and dig up the roots of the problems is really the feeling of how it's been with Pluto and Capricorn, and where we are needing to look in deep in the dark corners, look in the shadow, and find the ways that some of our systems and structures are based on things that are problematic: colonialism, racism, white supremacy, slavery, how we have come to be where we are now, and looking at some of the more problematic foundational ways that we have created our ways of operating, our systems, our structures, our institutions, from government systems to financial systems to educational systems to family systems. And the pull that we are feeling from a more conservative element that is very Capricorn, to have a conservative element, or I can't think of the word I'm trying to think of, but anyway, that is trying to pull us back to the past, right? It's like, no, let's just put the genie back in the bottle. We don't want to look at any of those issues that that we have opened up, or and of course we can't put the genie back in the bottle. The knowledge is there, the awareness is there, the shift in consciousness is there, and so we are going forward, like it or not. There will be this conservative element trying to pull us back, and causing whatever conflict and issues that are there that we are going to need to work through as human beings. But we have also this Pluto in Aquarius energy that's helping us to shift our consciousness, and hopefully in the collective and in society, to do more of that kind of shifting. So so that shift is happening this week. Again, you're not going to feel everything change all at once. We've got 20 years. So it's just, we're going to get a taste, we're going to get a peek, we're going to get a glimpse into some of these issues coming up. What is it bringing up? What are we grappling with? What do we need to do in our personal lives and the ways that we operate and show up in the world to participate in this bigger picture of shifts in consciousness, changing paradigms? I think that in many ways already it's inconceivable, some of the ways that we lived 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. It's like we can't even wrap our minds around it anymore. Certainly younger generations of humans don't have the memory, and those of us who are older, like, it's kind of a what is it, like it's that feeling of being thrown, it's whiplash. It's like, oh, wait a minute, this is the way it used to be, but this is the way it is now. Okay. And that's going to continue to happen. We're going to have more of that. We're going to have more not even recognizing who we were in the past because of how much we have changed, and what is so different about reality, about the way we operate, about the way we understand ourselves. Just big changes. I mean, even with first computers, and you could go back through the history of technology, right? And the printing press and electricity and the telephone. But okay, so computers, internet, cell phones, smartphones, social media, all these things that we didn't even have. And so we're going to have to figure out as a society how to use these amazing tools, very powerful tools, and how to use them in ways that is ethical, that is is healthy for humanity and who we are becoming, and how our social systems are changing now that we live in a truly global world. And our population has grown. I mean, we don't even talk about that very much. If you go Google population growth over the last 100 years, it's mind-boggling how many more people there are on the planet than there were 50 years ago, 100 years ago. And when you think about, well, how does that impact us? It's just hard to even wrap your mind around. So anyway, all of that is happening, and we are different. We are different as a species. We are different in the ways that we operate. We are different in the ways that we imagine the world. Our mythologies, our narratives, our stories, our ways of understanding things are changing. And I think that it's really important to actively be participants in how those stories, that mythology, that narrative gets defined, and it's changing as we speak. And so in our lives, in our work, in our projects, in our creative work, in our families, these are all ways that we can think about, okay, what do I want? A new mythology of reality, a new way of understanding the world and life and my place in it. What do I want that to look like? How can I participate in shaping that? And what do I want my children to know about how I see myself in the world and my responsibility within it? And how do I convey that, or how do I share it through my work, or how do I express it in my art, if you're an artist? So all of those things are there. It's a very deep and vast topic. You can say I kind of went off on that. So finally, so that Pluto shifting into Aquarius, getting a taste of that. Again, I have more videos. If you are interested in that topic, check out the playlist on 2023, what to expect in 2023, because there's more on the topic of Pluto going into Aquarius there. Big theme for this year. Anyway, we're here now. It's this week. Can't believe it. So also Mars going into Cancer, and like I was touching on briefly, we're having a shift from, really there's been themes of, how do I make my argument? How do I need to formulate my words? How do I need to research the facts and understand the words and the ways of verbalizing things so that I can effectively communicate my viewpoint? How do I put things in words? How do I argue my point? How do I need to raise my voice in the context of my life and whatever is showing up that I am participating in? So that has been a theme. Again, 7 months of Mars going forward, backward, and forward again in Gemini. And so now that Mars is going into Aquarius, we're going to shift. Mars is going into Cancer. Sorry, getting all the words mixed up. Mars going into Cancer, we're going to shift into the need to find our courage from an emotional place, and a courage to be emotional beings, the courage to be vulnerable, the courage to defend and protect the vulnerable parts of ourselves, and those who are more vulnerable in the world. So the mama bear energy, the energy of defending, protecting, and standing up for the parts of ourselves that need to be focused on nurturing, on caring, on feelings, on emotions and emotional processes. The defense and protection of women, of mothering, of of those who are more vulnerable in society. So gender fluid issues and just themes of protection of those more true, more real, and more authentic and more vulnerable parts of ourselves. So that's going to be where we're shifting, with Mars going into Cancer on Saturday of this week. That is March 25th. And so Pluto goes into Aquarius on March 23rd. The Aries New Moon is on March 21st. The equinox is on March 20th. So big week of change, big week of powerful intention setting. There is, everything has context, right? And the background energies that have brought us to where we are. We had the last moon cycle in Pisces, which was about letting go, about processing and allowing the flow and allowing wisdom and the divine and the bigger picture to speak to us, connecting with the meaning in our hearts. And all of that sets the tone for a readiness to step into the new. So letting go of old ways of being, maybe we have some feelings about that. Maybe we've been letting go of things that are painful or needing to feel some of that, that pain, or just even the real feelings, right? The real feelings of the energy of what is, that's not always easy to put into words. And so allowing ourselves to feel that allows us to release, to let go, to bring completion and conclusion, all in preparation for this Aries new moon, the spring equinox, and the energy of shift of Pluto into Aquarius. Mars in Cancer as well, also is again a shorter term shift of energy, certainly than the Pluto shift, but also happening at the same time as these other shifts. So great time to think about who you are, what's important to you, what do you want to manifest, because this is the energy of beginnings. This is a new beginning. It is the beginning of a new self. It is the beginning of, it is the emergence into the world of a new identity, a new sense of self, a new truth, a new way of being that you are stepping into. And so let yourself embody that. Let yourself act from that place of truth of who you are and what you're becoming. Let yourself take risks, find your courage, move forward, try things. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it all figured out. You will certainly learn. And that is part of the process of the Aries energy, is that it's like there are some things that you can't learn without trying them and just doing them. So don't be afraid to be you and to live from that place and find your courage. And if you are looking for some in-depth support, I am just super excited to share with you that I've got a special offer right now. This is for people who are really ready for a deep dive. And it's a equinox, Aries, new moon, Pluto, and Aquarius offer to support you in your own process of healing, working with your chart to look at what is possible. Are you making choices that are staying in alignment with your truth, and how to do that, and how to navigate your real life issues, circumstances, and situations that are there, because that is part of your soul's work, and that is how you are doing this work. And so that is what I do when I work with people, is we look deep into your life, into your chart, at what you're doing, what you want to do, where you want to be, and how to get there, based on what your chart shows about what is most authentic and aligned for you. And I will tell you right now that there are no charts that say you can't have what you want. All charts provide that support for you to bolster you to say, you know, here is how, here is your path, here is your way. And you know, it's different for each one of us, but we can pull that apart. We can look at what it is and how it works for you. And so having that custom work to really tailor a reading and a series of readings to you fulfilling your purpose and what's most important to you is really, really powerful gift to give yourself. And so you don't have to work with me for 5 sessions. I do have options for a single session. I have mini readings. If finances are an issue for you, you can do a mini reading. But if you are really ready for this deeper dive, I have a special offer right now of 5 sessions for $500. Really, really affordable discount. Well, you know, it's a special rate for right now, just because I have room for more clients, and I want to make it possible for people to step into making this choice for yourself. It's so potent and so powerful to work with your own chart, to understand more deeply who you are and to be able to put words to that, come up with a plan. We will work together to create a soul-based action plan and give you homework and tasks to do and ways to implement the changes that are most important to you. So 5 sessions for $500. That's a special offer. Again, you do not have to do the full multi-session offer. There are other options for working with me, but if you are looking for in-depth work, that is a really powerful way to do it. It's a special rate that I have right now, and I'm not sure how long I'll keep it up, but at least for this week. And the link to sign up for that is in the comments for this video, in the description for this video. I will include the link to purchase that package of sessions. And if you have any questions at all, wondering if this is a good fit for you, or any questions about how it works, feel free to email me and my team at info@astrologyheals.com. We can answer your questions and help you get signed up if that is the right choice for you. So it's 5 sessions working with me one-on-one over Zoom. You do not have to be in my neck of the woods, so to speak, but we can work together face-to-face with this amazing technology that allows us to do that. And you will get a recording of each session. Again, you'll get homework to work on, things to implement, things to think about, and then you get to come back for your next session, bring your questions, bring what's come up, and we'll work with that to come up with your next steps from there. So it's really powerful, in-depth opportunity to work with me over the course of 5 sessions. I recommend that you do 1 session per month, and that gives you time to integrate. In between, the sessions are 50 minutes. And so we get that time to really work in depth together and get you the tools that you need to take this next step into the next level of your soul's journey and manifesting the things that are important to you, that are in line with your highest potential. So let me know if you have any questions. info@astrologyheals.com, and I will include that link for you. Let me know, and thank you so much for being here and for subscribing to this channel. If you if it's not the right time for you to step into working with me in depth this way, please do keep enjoying these videos. I post them daily, and I know that they're being a benefit to many of you who have said so. And so I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you being here. And I will see you next time. Bye for now.